You think you chose the cheaper plan, trusted the right person, and kept working on a failing project because quitting felt wrong. But a choice can be pushed before it even feels like a choice. The first number changes what feels expensive. The wording changes which risk feels safe. And time already lost can make you lose even more. These are mental shortcuts. Here are 10 that quietly tilt the table. The final one explains why you may spot them in everyone except yourself. Number 1. Anchoring. Imagine seeing a jacket marked down from $600 to $299. Before you compare other stores or ask what the jacket is actually worth, $299 already feels cheap. The crossed-out price became an anchor. It gave your mind a starting point, and your judgment adjusted away from it, often not far enough. In a classic experiment, people watched a wheel land on either 10 or 65. They then estimated the percentage of African countries in the United Nations. The random number should have meant nothing, yet the group that saw 65 gave higher estimates. Anchors can be prices, salary offers, deadlines, or the first opinion spoken in a meeting. To weaken one, build your own estimate from independent information before looking at someone else's number. Number 2. The framing effect. Suppose 600 people are threatened by a disease. One plan will definitely save 200. Another offers a 1 in 3 chance of saving everyone, but a 2 in 3 chance of saving no one. Now describe the same outcomes as 400 people dying, or a gamble in which everyone might live or everyone might die. The facts are identical. But in classic research, many people preferred the certain option when it was framed as lives saved, then shifted toward the gamble when it was framed as lives lost. The frame changed, the facts did not. When a decision matters, rewrite it both ways. Ask what you may gain, what you may lose, and whether your preference survives both descriptions. Number 3. The Decoy Effect. Imagine choosing a streaming plan. Basic costs $8, premium costs $16. You hesitate. Then a third plan appears. It costs $15, but offers fewer useful features than premium. Suddenly, paying $1 extra for premium feels obvious. That third plan may be a decoy. Its presence makes another option look better by comparison. Researchers call this the attraction effect. It does not appear in every situation, and details matter, but it reveals that a preference can depend on the menu, not just on the item. Temporarily remove the weakest option. If your preference changes, the decoy may have been doing more work than the product. And so far, we have only changed numbers and wording. The next trap can change what you believe is true. Number 4. Confirmation bias. Suppose you begin to think a coworker dislikes you. A short message becomes evidence. A missed greeting becomes evidence. But when that person helps you, you call it an exception. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, or remember information in ways that support an existing belief. If you believe someone is unfriendly, almost any quiet behavior can fit the story. If you believe they are stressed, the same behavior fits that story too. The useful question is not, what supports my belief? It is, what evidence would show that I am wrong? A belief that cannot lose is not being tested. Number 5. The Availability Heuristic. After intense news coverage of a plane crash, flying may suddenly feel more dangerous. After hearing about a friend who won a lottery, winning may feel less impossible. The probabilities did not necessarily change. What changed was how easily an example came to mind. Events that are recent, emotional, dramatic, or repeated are easier to recall, so they can feel more common than they are. This shortcut is often useful because common events can be easier to remember. But vividness and frequency are not the same thing. Before judging a risk, ask for the base rate. How often did this happen across all relevant cases, not just the cases dramatic enough to reach you? Number 6. The sunk cost effect. You are an hour into a terrible movie, but leaving feels like wasting the hour. You keep paying for a service you barely use. You keep feeding a failing project because stopping would make the earlier investment feel pointless. That is the sunk cost effect. Money, time, and effort that cannot be recovered begin influencing a decision that should depend on what happens next. In one field study, Theatre customers who had paid more for season tickets attended more plays during the following months. The larger past cost appeared to pull on later behavior. The cleanest test is simple. If I had invested nothing so far, would I choose to begin this today? If the answer is no, continuing will not recover the past. It may only add a new cost to it. So far, these traps have distorted numbers, evidence, risk, and the past. The next ones distort people, time, and finally, your picture of yourself. Number 7. The halo effect. A polished speaker walks into a room, sounds confident, and answers the first question perfectly. Without much evidence, people may also assume that the speaker is more intelligent, more reliable, and more capable in unrelated areas. That is the halo effect. One strong impression spills into judgments of separate qualities. A negative first impression can cast a shadow in the same way. Early research on performance ratings found that evaluators struggled to judge different traits independently. Their general impression colored the individual scores. The defense is structure. Decide what qualities matter in advance, then rate each one using separate evidence. Do not let confidence answer a question about competence, or appearance answer a question about character. Number 8. The fundamental attribution error. When a stranger arrives late, you may think they are irresponsible. When you arrive late, the explanation is traffic, a broken alarm, an urgent call, and the slowest elevator in the city. This tendency is often called the fundamental attribution error, or correspondence bias. We can overread personality and underread the situation when explaining someone else's behavior. In a classic experiment, people read essays supporting or opposing Fidel Castro. Even when readers were told that the writer had been assigned a position, they still used the essay to infer the writer's real attitude. The strength of this tendency can vary with context and culture, so it is not a law that controls every judgment. But one question remains useful. What situation could make a reasonable person behave this way? Number 9. The planning fallacy. You estimate that a task will take 2 hours. 6 hours later, you are watching a video about how to focus, while the task remains open in another tab. The planning fallacy is the tendency to make forecasts that are too optimistic about our own completion times. We often imagine a smooth story. First this, then that, then finished. But the story leaves out interruptions, mistakes, waiting, low energy, and the small problems that appeared during every similar project before. Research found that people focused heavily on future plans and discounted relevant past delays. Predictions improved when they connected the current task with past experience. Do not ask only, how long should this take? Ask, how long did the last 3 tasks like this actually take? Number 10. The bias blind spot. This is the trap hiding behind all the others. People can learn about anchoring, confirmation bias, and the halo effect, then immediately notice them in a friend, a boss, or everyone on the internet. But when their own judgment feels calm and reasonable, they assume it must be objective. Studies on the bias blind spot found that people tended to see cognitive and motivational biases more readily in others than in themselves. Even after learning how a bias worked, some participants continued to describe their own judgments as accurate and objective. Knowing the name of a trap is not the same as being immune to it. That is why good decisions need external checks. Write down your criteria before seeing the options. Record predictions before learning the outcome. Ask someone who is not invested in your choice to challenge it. Do not ask, am I biased? Ask, what would I expect to see if I were? Mental shortcuts are not enemies. They reduce complicated judgments to manageable ones, and they are often useful. They become traps when a shortcut quietly answers the wrong question. Is this a good price, or does it only look good beside the first number? Is this claim supported, or did I search only for support? Is this project worth another month, or am I trying to rescue a month that is already gone? The goal is not to eliminate every bias. It is to create a small pause before an important choice. Remove the first anchor, rewrite the frame, look for evidence against your favorite answer, use the history of similar decisions, and let another person inspect what you cannot see from inside your own reasoning. Which of these 10 traps has shaped one of your decisions recently? You still make the choice. But a better choice begins when you notice what has tilted the table.